Tavares. Walter makes a run ahead of him. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp! That's magnificent! The move, and then this, which left Dabby's ass totally stranded.
I'm ready this time. I don't know where the camera is. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland. I, singular, not plural, I'm an Arsenal podcast. You know what you've done wrong, the lot of you. I hate you all, apart from Josh and Carl and Femi, and maybe James. The rest of you, dead to me. With me tonight, I have two wonderful guests. We have Gary, who was on the transfer deadline day show, but he couldn't get a word in edgeways. Wise. Is it wise or wise? Either way. Because people wouldn't shut up and let him speak, and he's a man with a lot of stuff to say. How do, Gary? You right?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Well, I have had 2 chicken rolls, which I am delighted with. I peeled my first chicken 3 days ago, and then one again yesterday. I've never peeled a chicken before. I always was put off taking meat off of a carcass. It's easy. Thumbs in, get ripping. Talking about thumbs in and getting ripping. So, how you doing?
I'm doing great. And you know what? I love peeling chickens because I love the nibble as you peel it. And then when you bite it off the bone, it's lovely.
I notice you wear your watch on the right. All the best people wear their watch on the right. It's natural. You're
true?
right-handed. Yeah. Well, I've decided it's true.
Lovely.
Gary just looked.
I know. I just looked and went, damn.
You know, it's amazing the number of times I'll see someone writing with their left hand, or their right hand, and I go, "Oh, you're left-handed." They'll stop and they look at their hands and they go,
"Oh, that's right." I would like to have a disclaimer. I'm not wearing sunglasses because I'm trying to be like a wanker. I'm wearing them because I have a bit of a migraine today. So hence, it's easier when I don't have to read, and do the show. So I'm wearing these. Thank you very much. End of disclaimer.
You are the fashion icon of the Arsenal podcasting world, and you, miss, can do whatever the hell you want. And if they don't like it, they can come and tell you, and then you can tell them to go away, be gone. And if they still don't go away, Kev will turn up and break their necks. Oh, what did Vinny have to say about your wearing glasses?
Listen, I'm going to try and keep him quiet. Tony's not here. She's in Idaho. And so, the two of them, I've got the door open, the sun shining on their little dog bed. They've been told to try and keep it quiet for Uncle Danny. So let's see how well they do this evening.
Don't you worry about that. We're used to. At least you haven't got Sean shouting from the toilet, I'm having a poo like she usually does. Bless her, poor thing. Right, say hello to some of the people. We've got Matt Roberts is there. I've saved your question for later, Matt. We've got Sophie for an hour because you're going to be doing something with the hybrid squad at 9:30, is it? I think I said.
Yeah, 9:45. I may have a few extra minutes. Let's see how it rolls.
Who've you got on?
It's actually a premiere, and I tried to prep it as much beforehand. It's Potsy with Kev talking about their top 5 Arsenal transfers ever.
Oh,
really good show. Really good one. We had the What If show last night, and then we recorded Dan and Kev after that. And so it's a good one tonight, 9:45. They won't want to miss it.
Good. Yes. So go and watch that. I haven't finished watching the one you did last night, the What If thing. It's much more entertaining than the Marvel What If, because that was all nonsense. Not that I'll watch it, because I'm not 12. Yes, so... Right,
I don't watch Marvel movies.
No, nor do I. If they're on, maybe I'll have a look at them, but I don't care. I have no idea what's going on. I don't follow anything, and I have no idea the chronology with it all. I just think some of them are right. I liked Iron Man. I liked the one bloke with the hammer. He was cool.
Yeah. Who was that guy? Oh, well, yeah.
Thor.
And Thor. I like Batman, like the Batmans with like Heath Ledger and Tom Hardy and those ones. That's cool. Is that Marvel? No, it's DC. I don't know.
One of my kids got me into Marvel's of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think it is. So I've been watching that. So, yeah.
Is that a TV show?
It's on Netflix.
Right. I feel like I should watch the Tom Holland Spider-Mans that people tell me.
I like him. He's good.
It's getting
How is that not on torrent already? That should have been out on torrent ages ago.
What is this torrent thing you talk about?
Something
no
illegal,
idea.
probably.
It sounds like shenanigans. We have Julio Salmondo, Evening Chaps, and Sophie. I think you can refer to Sophie as a chap.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
He, she, her, me, you, they, them.
Oh, don't you start any of that. And I'll tell you, the day you start adding that to your bio, I'm off.
Listen. I just ended a consulting gig, and I couldn't wait to get out of it, just because everyone signed their name, he, her, she, them, and I'm like, gosh, I'm just, and it's coming from a gay girl, so whatever.
These you lot, and not you lot, but the Americans are all obsessed. Only place I ever hear the Gen Z, Gen X stuff is when I'm watching American shows like with what's his name, Kevin Smith, who I love dearly, and sometimes when you talking about it, we never talk about it in this country, about the different generations and giving them names. It's too hard to understand. Sometimes I call Sean an effing millennial, and she's probably not even. She's born in '98. That's not right, is it?
No.
No, she doesn't care. Mark asking, chicken, do you cook? Oh. Did your chicken look like a banana? No, but it was definitely dead.
Chicken
Julio,
looking like a banana. Oh, wow.
I peel my chickens. I didn't know what the appropriate term for it was. Mark says you look great. Mark says your premiere shows at...
I just saw that.
Yeah, 5:22 a.m. wasn't it? It was set to.
Oh, blimey. Here we go.
Sometimes people, when you go and set stuff up in StreamYard, you forget to change the time. I have done it so many times. And then you go, I've got to go back and change the time. For the first wage, I didn't even know there was an AM PM bar. But why does it only let me set stuff to AM? I don't want to do stuff AM. Oh, there's a drop down bar for AM PM. David's there. Adam West, the best. Oh, BX is there. Evening all. Shout out to 3 legends on the panel. Oh, thank you very much. Standard is there. 2 US based panelists, Naz and Julio's put a question in there, so we shall save that for later. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is a very loose show as usual. No one has to wait to be asked a question, and anybody as usual can just jump in and go, oi, no, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about what you had for dinner. First thing I'll start off with, Gary, if we win tomorrow, where does that put us in our fight for the top 4? And branch off from that with like a crystalline entity, if you want.
Well, for me, if we win, it just means we're one more game closer, but we still have another 14 to go. So this is going to be a long, drawn out, process. I think each game for me is going to be like the next, must win. So basically, I'm going to be stressed all the way through the end because I feel like we need to be. I mean, the team should be feeling that way. I mean, I've got enough time in between each game to feel like, we got to win this one. Because you know what, we need to do better than the last game. And I've always said that a Premier League season is like 38 tests. So each test I want to do a little bit better than the last one. If I do a little bit better each time, guess what? By the time I hit 38, I'll be ready to go. And if I do, most likely I'll get where I want to be. All right. Sometimes you can pass every test with 100. Yes, it's only been done once, but sometimes, or I don't know what the grading scale is over in the UK, but. And sometimes you struggle at the beginning and you just grow as the season grows. So I expect us to hopefully take each game as just another test that, a test was put in front of us. We passed it. Let's go on to the next one and grow. So that's what I'm expecting to see. So it should be stressful for us. I think that's what the team needs. I don't think we can take a day off. I think if we take days off, then that's when we see like the Nottinghams and the Evertons and the United results, and we can't do that anymore. We just don't have the bandwidth for that. We don't have another game for that. No, each game matters, and that's where I feel. That's how I feel. So I feel like I'm going to be stressed for the rest of the season, and it's a welcomed one because I think that's the way the team has put us. What are you giggling about? What did I do? What did I say?
No, I'm just stressed for the rest of the season. That sums up everything for Arsenal in the entire time. So, are you confident, Sophie, that we might actually be able to pull this off? Because we're looking at the games tonight. We have got Spurs are away at Burnley. Now, Burnley won 3-0 in their last game, so that's all their goals used up for the rest of the season in one game. And Liverpool Leeds. Well, Leeds are shocking, aren't they? Great team to watch, magnificent manager, some really good players, but they're not going to beat Liverpool, are they?
They can't defend. Also, Burnley with Weghorst are a totally different team. Talk about, sign a striker that's going to come in and maybe save them for the rest of the season. That relegation battle is not over, as is top 4. The key for us, we've got to beat Wolves because guess what? We've got to play Chelsea. We've got to play Liverpool. We've got to play Man United. We've got to play West Ham. We've got the North London derby coming. And will that be the one we regret, postponing that match when Son wasn't playing? I'd rather have the points on the board Kev and I were talking about the other night rather than the games in hand. It's so funny too how everyone is just saying, oh, Manchester United, they're in the commanding position. They've got no respect for the fact that we've got 3 games in hand. But the truth is we all have to play each other and it's going to go down to the wire. And I have a horrible, horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach that maybe the battle for us, it might not be 4th because of all these tough games. Is it going to be between us and Spurs for 5th? And is the North London derby? Notice they haven't scheduled that yet because they know the moneymaker at the end of the season, Arsenal v Tottenham, to see who gets into Europe. I can feel that coming big time. So we've got to beat Wolves. And that's only because of all the tough matches that are coming ahead. But it's not only for us. It's coming for United, for Tottenham, for West Ham, who you could argue are the most vulnerable because they've played more games than all of us.
Just looking at the league table, Gary, I see that with the same number of games as Spurs, they're playing tonight, so that'd be their game in hand. But they've goal difference is 0, ours is 10. I mean, that's got to be worth another point, at least. Well, only another point, a theoretical point. It's like when you used to get the away games, people go, that's goal scored double. You go, well, no, the first one is like an extra half a goal, and that's it. We're trying to explain that, but yeah, plus 10, that's quite a turnaround from us, isn't it? From a time when we were minus until halfway through the season, we were minus.
After 3 matches, right? -8. That's just, or -8. Yeah, that's just, we can't. Was it 8 or was it 9?
I don't want to talk about it.
But yeah. So, no,
it's good. It didn't happen.
Yeah, it's good that we're there. And you know what? Like you said, we have that. We're 1 game behind them in terms of games in hand. So, I kind of look at it like if it's 4, like somebody said, it's 15 cup finals. If we play it like that, even the games in hand, if worst case scenario, you don't get all the points you want out of that. But if we win the games we're supposed to win, right, and you take out some of those games that we might struggle in, like I think it's Liverpool, Chelsea, and that team. I don't even say their name anymore. I just call them that team from now on. Yes.
Scum works.
Yeah.
Be careful nowadays of the word that we use.
I think that might be mean to scum, so I don't even say that.
Oh, I like it. Nice one, Gary. Very nice.
Yeah, So I kind of feel like, you know what, we have to play each game like it's a final. And go all out. I mean, I think we've been going all out, and that's what's probably gotten us in some trouble in terms of the way we kind of ended that Wolves game. We kind of looked like we were stressed, and that's you end up getting a red that way. But I think that's the way we're going to have to play here on out. I see a lot of people saying hi in the chat, so hello everyone. Thanks for joining us.
You're right, Gary, about we've been saying that from the 17 matches. Now it's 15 cup finals. It is intense. And the winnable games, they have to be won. There's no room for any slip-ups. And I really, truly hope that Everton game doesn't come back to haunt us, especially. Manchester United, that was a tough one to lose as well because we were just the superior team. We didn't go in for the kill that night, and we showed them way too much respect. But those 2 games, I hope they don't come back to haunt us. So... Yeah, 15 cup finals. This is it. As Macaulay Culkin said in Home Alone, this is it. Don't get scared now.
And that's what kind of scares me sometimes. I feel like when we get under pressure, that's when we see us buckle sometimes. And I'm hoping we don't take it that way. I think we've been doing good so far. Because we don't need you talk about the 2 games where we lost, but the Burnley game where we drew also is
that's a very good point.
We just can't afford to give any points away, especially when we have the upper hand. I mean, when we played Wolves, I always thought, you know what, we have the better offense, a better attack. We need to take advantage, and a better first half, and the game's gone, right? This time around, and then since then they've scored 4 goals. So,
Yeah.
so much for their offense not being as prolific as most of other teams. And also, I think they have Neto back, so they're getting a little bit better in terms of the way they're going to attack people. And so, and I looked, they don't give up more than one goal, if that.
They're
So,
third best at conceding
yeah,
goals this season,
yeah,
even
yeah.
despite what happened in the match at the weekend and stuff. But it's the DNA and player profile of this club now is very different player wise. So I'm really fascinated to see how we cope under the pressure. It's going to tell us a lot about this team, because in years past we've crumbled. Here we go 1-0 down, but before you know it's half time, we're 3-0 down. It's over. Whereas this team has been tenacious and even with 10 men have fought, and we're more of a collective unit than individuals. And I think that's been the difference between us and United, even though they're above us. And that's been the difference between us and Spurs, even though Antonio Conte's been here before in terms of all the managers, Ralph, Arteta. He's the one with the experience in these moments. But I'm really curious to see how our team copes in these last 15 games.
It is going to be another thing I've noticed. Is this going to be hard on us? We've got all these games coming up and then close together, and you get to the end of March, 19th of March, we're away to Villa, and then it's 16 days before we're again away to Crystal Palace. Now I don't know if they're going to try and fit in the Chelsea or the Spurs game in between there. It's probably an international break, but then even at the end of this month,
it is the international break, Danny. You're right. So
even at the end of this month, we've got Wolves tomorrow, and our next game is 10 days before Watford away. You think that they don't make it easy for anybody. I mean, you look at the way we had a load of games. We didn't play a game for 3 weeks, and then before that we had 3 games in 10 days or something like that. They just keep doing it to us, and that's got to mess with the players, hasn't it? Because you're going to be going, right, lads are all getting up, we're all getting match fitness, because as we all know, match fitness and fitness are 2 completely different things, as we saw when Lokonga, is it Lokonga in midfield?
Yep.
Yeah,
and also Tommy
weird.
When he came back with the Liverpool game, that was evident in that too. So
and we see it. We see that Arteta doesn't like to bring people up to keep them. Like when you're playing Football Manager or something like that, you still bring on the players that you're going to use regularly, even if they don't start, just to get minutes. And the only one he really does that with is Smith Rowe. And you think, now you've got these massive big breaks coming up. It's going to be hard for the players in case of an emergency. As we saw when Lokonga come back, he was terrible. But the next game, he was really good because he'd had a game. And I think slight things like that, Arteta needs to look at that and go a little bit more man management. But you were saying about the squad, Soph, Gary, there's no problems at the squad at the moment, is there? It's the first time in living memory that we have an Arsenal squad. We've got a teeny little problem with Nketiah, but our Josh that we share, said he came up with a really good point. Compensation at the end of the season, because he was an Arsenal youth product. Compensation was we could get 10 or 15 million quid for him, so that might make sense as to why we haven't sold him for the 5-10 million that maybe Palace and some of the others are offered. But other than maybe talk about that, but other than that, and there's no one else. There's no problems at the squad. Even Pepe, our record signing, even he's going, well, don't play. I'll come on when you need me. It's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess if you're going to bring up Nketiah, I guess for me, I always kind of go back and look at the opportunities we had to sell him. I know it might have been for a cheaper price than a lower price than we wanted, but we seem to have money to just throw away at players that we send off anyways. So for me, I would rather have spent money to get Eddie out of the club if that's what it took to bring in a younger striker at that time there were like 3 or 4 strikers that we were looking at that weren't going to cost a lot that you see elsewhere, like the Dakas and Edwards to some, and they're players that we probably could have brought in as maybe to sit behind a Aubameyang and Lacazette, and at this point will probably be kind of more suited for what we want, because when we go to Nketiah now, I don't think anybody's happy to see that, right? I think we're all kind of concerned, like, is this really where we're going? And so for me, Nketiah, we're throwing, for me, there's a lot of money going out the door with some of the players. So for me, when you can do that and get another one in, then you should. And we didn't do that. We kind of did things a little bit backwards, right? Everybody knew that Aubameyang has goals in him, just maybe not with Arsenal, right? And 2 or 3 games into his Barcelona career, hat trick, right? So nobody should be surprised by Aubameyang scoring. They might be surprised, they're just surprised that we couldn't get it done here. That's kind of the most surprising things, that we didn't get it out here. Now I think I might have went off on a tangent on your original question there, but you brought up Nketiah, and that kind of set me down a different path.
Harmony is so important. Everybody believes in him. It's like David, Mr. Waffles, who was on the other day. He said, "We're finally seeing some a little Concordia, because the Arsenal below the old Arsenal, about to say Victoria Concordia Crescit, which is victory through harmony." Is that impressive, Soph? Or you knew that, didn't you?
Very impressive. I did. I actually knew that. Yeah.
I did that in school for 2 years.
Well, you know what we do?
How old I am.
Like you said, we do have 13 or 14 players that are all on the same page. All right. Mm-hmm. In the past, I think we had maybe pockets of players, and we saw on the pitch 11 players. None of them basically, at least playing for each other. Now we see, like you said, it's harmony. It's an orchestra and being directed in a certain way. When it's right, it looks really good, right? When it's right, it looks like the first half of City. We've had these 45-minute segments where you just look at them in each season. You go, okay, let's do that again. And then sometimes you see it and sometimes you don't. I think last season it was the first half against Wolves where we almost scored, but we didn't, right? So we know what this team can do when it's clicking, when it's Arteta ball, as I call it. Whatever he's expecting to get out of the squad, we see it in pockets here. We want to see it for 90, but until then, I think I'll take 45 minutes, especially against teams that aren't at the levels. For example, we did what we showed in the City game for 45 minutes against anybody else in the league. I think we should be able to take a lead. By halftime, we just haven't. We don't see it enough, because you look at the Burnley game and you go, well, if you can play to a particular style, you should be able to score in anyone. All right, and we didn't do it. So consistency is one thing, but also, we're getting teased, and I just want to see it again. All right, I think that's what we want. We want to see it again every time the team comes out. So yeah, that's me. On that point. But yeah, I like the squad. We are more of a team than we have been in the past. You can see it working when it's clicking, and that's a good thing. And we'll get where we want to be if we keep seeing that over and over and over again, as they say.
How do you feel about that, Soph? Because it is having been watching them since, it so reminds me of the George Graham days. And I think a really important bit is we've got a new Ian Wright in Aaron Ramsdale, the Joker. Everybody in every dressing room needs a joker like that to keep up. When we've had a bad game, I bet he brings everyone up, does a little ditty, sings songs, plays tricks. That's got to help so much as well with the cohesion of the squad and believing in a manager. Because there's no haters in that squad, is there?
No, there aren't. And, this has been, player culture has been an issue since the Wenger era, especially towards the end of the Wenger era. And Arsenal fans have, once again, a team and players they can fall in love with. When you go buy a shirt now, you actually are in a pickle to choose which player's name you want on the back of the shirt. Do you want Ramsdale's? Do you want Tomiyasu? Do you want Tierney? Do you want Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, Martinelli? How long has it been since we've had a team that we can fall in love with all over again? The way they fight for each other. I love that picture of Ben White and Ramsdale after the Wolves game where they're grabbing each other's shirts. And Ramsdale, I think, is one of those players that even though he can be a bit of a jester, he is a baller. When it comes to business and time of game, he's engaged. I love the way he yells at everybody. He's been fearless since day one. He came into the mix under an insurmountable amount of pressure because there are a lot of Arsenal fans that poo-pooed his signing before he had even worn the shirt. And, we got behind those signings right away in the summer. You can't judge a player until, he's actually played a game. This is where I think the difference with Arteta and Unai was. And Unai just didn't get the support. The hierarchy during his time was garbage. They never backed him. They never gave him the players that he wanted. And player power ruled the roost at the Arsenal. I know firsthand that Ozil ruled that dressing room. These are good sources.
You saw that in some of the goal celebrations. Someone went through a video of that on Twitter recently, and then they scored, and then someone scored the goal, and he said to Lacazette, "Why aren't they so?" It was Sanchez. Sanchez scored the goal. About 4 or 5 of them went to the corner, and then Sanchez, you could see him going to Lacazette. "Why aren't the others coming?" And Lacazette went, "I don't know."
Yeah. And he was lazy, and that filtered through. This is why Maitland-Niles never really made it in the end. I'm not sure if he's going to come back and be able to do it, but there was a culture of player that really was poison in the dressing room. And thankfully, whether you agree with Arteta or not, or have liked him or not, he's been given the support to bring back the club before the player. Tony Adams said it best. Play for the squad, whatever it is, they'll remember, play for the front of the shirt and they'll remember your name on the back of the shirt. And that is where I think Arteta deserves a tremendous amount of credit, but he's also been given the power to do that. He's been given the power from the hierarchy, from Edu, from the owners. And it was about time that happened. And now these players are playing like a team, like a squad. No one's more important than the other. Sure, Saka's a superstar in the making. Of course, Martinelli is too. Emile Smith-Rowe's great, but they're all equal. Before it was Ozil was here and everyone was here. And I saw it on the summer tour when they were here. I saw what an idiot really Mustafi was. I'm sorry, that may sound harsh, but he looked like a jokester, but a fool. Whereas Ramsdale can be a jokester, but he's a baller. There's a difference. And if we can continue to recruit that type of DNA, that type of profile of player, and match what we've done in the summer, this coming summer, Danny, that's what we need to do. Keep building, keep moving. That's how we keep up and catch up with all those teams who are better than us and above us. I'm excited about this squad. I have not been an Arteta fan because you can't finish 8th and get us kicked out of Europe and have my love. Sure, you had some FA Cup love coupons, but those have kind of expired where I'm concerned. The proof now is get us back into Europe, not because we can win the Champions League or the Europa League. It's what it provides to us from a monetary perspective and how we can attract players to play in Europe. We were still able to sign Aubameyang and Lacazette and Gabriel and Partey and Tierney because we could dangle the Europa League carrot. But you saw in the summer, the profile and the DNA of the player changed and it worked out for us. But you're not going to get that lucky every single transfer window, which is why it's important that we qualify for Europe.
True, Gary. This is people may see this as an Arteta loving. It's not. It's just being realistic. I mean, this is Dora. Hello, dear. You're all right. Good.
The Explorer.
Actually, Dora, when she was born, Lily had 7 kittens, and Dora was meant to be Theodore, as in Walcott. And I went, "Oh, Theodore is a girl, so it's Dora, not Theodore."
Do you have a trans cat?
Well, possibly. Are you, dear? Well, she doesn't eat human food. If you give her chicken or bacon or sausage, she look at it and go, "What the fuck's that? Give me biscuits." Doesn't like it, do you, dear? She's a licker as well. 23 cats, the first licker I've ever had. Oh, she just loves the humans' dirty hands. Gone off topic there, Gary. It's not an Arteta loving. It's looking at the situation realistically. Now, it's if you had to list all the things that Arteta had to do when he came into the club, it wasn't fresh manager, fresh start. It was sort out all the stuff with Emery, get rid of all the players that are here, bring in short-term players, bring in other players for cheap, bring through an academy players, doing all of that as a bloke new to management. He'd only ever done coaching before. And so many people are so utterly unwilling to go, "Yeah, you've done all right there. You've had a really difficult situation. Congratulations for what you've done." And like if you want to be a chef, the first few omelettes you make, you may mess it up. And that's what he's doing. He's getting better. You can see a progression. Maybe some might even call it trust the process, Gary. Can you understand why these people refuse to look at it and go, "Yeah, he is doing a good job"?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, sometimes it's the reason why I look at it is because I feel like one is the Arsenal, and if we're gonna say that, then it comes with a certain territory, and it comes with certain expectations, and the way that we're going about this process, it's like we're starting over from scratch, and we're okay with that, and they're okay. The board and all of that is okay with that. The fans, of course, aren't, because we just want to win, and the only way you do that is if you see you take whatever you got in the kitchen, basically, right? You put it together, you create some masterpiece of what you've got. Meanwhile, you're putting orders in for the good stuff. So eventually when it comes in, you go from being well, that food is really good, to, oh my, I love this. And that's kind of, it's, for me, it's all about time. They want us to wait. I don't want to wait. No fan wants to wait and should have to wait sometimes. But they're making us wait. And I always said, I think Arteta needs to have his 25 players, and then we'll see. Most managers don't get that opportunity. They need to play with what they got, and that's kind of where they've grown up living. They've grown up coaching that way. Arteta hasn't, right? So if you're gonna, Arteta is the process, is the project, right? As many have said, and if that's the case, then you're gonna have to do basically everything he wants, right? You bring in an Emery and you say, "Here, Emery, I'm going to give you. This is all we got, and if you want something new, this is what you got." Even though you didn't want it, you're just going to have to make it work. And, most managers can take that and do something good with it. The good ones can anyways. Arteta, I think they've said, you know what, you tell us what you want and we'll do it. And they've been doing that. And he said, you know what, I don't understand the how to manage players. And that's kind of what a lot of people will say, is just not a good manager and can't deal with attitudes and, certain behaviors of players, which, I think you kind of have to. You're going to have to, or in our case, just get them out the door, right? And
you can't kick everyone out just because you can't manage them.
That's what we're doing, right? We're almost there.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it right for every scenario,
I'm with you.
And as much as I have humble pie baking in the oven. Kev can't wait to feed it to me at the end of the season. He's actually asking Tony to make sure there's one with whipped cream on top so she can smash it in my face. And I'll be glad and happy to have that happen. But you cannot finish 8th again and expect fans to say, okay, yes, trust the process. That's all. That's the difference. Now, I think we've found ourselves in an improbable situation to finish 4th. I wasn't expecting us to finish top 4. I was at least thinking 5th or 6th, but with a domestic trophy. And I think January was a disaster. Falling out of the FA Cup in the manner in which we did against Forest, that's not good, right? Losing to Liverpool in the League Cup, a competition even Wenger didn't win. Okay, I can forgive that, but I think he inherited Emery's team, went on to win the cup, and I'm not saying that's why he did. He still had to win it. Aubameyang was on fire that season, though, as well, which really helped. But to crash out in the manner in which we have in the last 2 seasons, in the rounds that we did, is not good enough. So he does still have a lot to prove. Getting the house in order, that's fine. But he's had a tremendous amount of support to get that done. How many windows has he had? How much money has he been given to spend, albeit cash flow? So there's still question marks, definitely. But have we made progress? 100%. And I think that back line has everything to do with it. The fact that we have those players, Tomiyasu, Gabriel, White, Ramsdale and Tierney, I think that is the backbone to everything. And getting the midfield right in the summer is going to be key. Who's going to be the best partner for Thomas Partey? Is Lokonga going to be a backup? The dude captained Anderlecht at 21 years old playing under Vincent Kompany. Some fans are dismissing him, but he's a really good player. So, and then a striker. We need 2 of those. So the proof will be in the May pudding, Gary, I think. Even though, yes, we've made progress, let's not anoint him just yet, but let's give him credit for how far he's brought this team so far this season, for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people underestimate sometimes is the defensive structure of City, right? When they think of City, they always think about the scoring, but there is a means to an end as to how they defend and how they keep the scores low and manageable. And Arteta, I think, brought some of that here, but we wanted to see the scoring as well. Mm-hmm. For me, it was interesting that, we had a really good defense last season, but we still went ahead and improved it even more. We had Leno, decent goalkeeper for us, probably playing behind a back four that just wasn't ready, and let some goals in, but he actually made lots of saves, and we still fixed that. So we're fixing all the things that are good,
But there was no competition, was there? Sokratis just would get picked. Mustafi would just get picked. Everyone would just get picked. Now, Kev was saying it on the show, goes, look at Tierney now. Nuno comes in. Everyone says, oh, we don't need Tierney. All of a sudden, Tierney, he's not injured. He's playing well. Look at Emile Smith-Rowe. He sees he's got to fight for his spot. Martinelli had to fight for his spot. These guys are having to fight for their spots. That's exactly what we want. And I agree with you on the City thing. Their first line of attack is their defense. It's incredible.
Yeah, but the problems that we've always had, right? We're up top and in the midfield sometimes, right? In the midfield, Partey was good, but we know if you're going to bring a Partey, you want somebody comparable to him to make sure that you're not you don't have a weak and a strong link all sitting right next to each other, nulling each other out. And I think that's the other thing. So some of the holes that per se I think we should have been trying to fill last summer, we didn't. And it's coming back to haunt us to some degree now, right? You lose one of our midfielders and we're in trouble. We can't play without them right now. Our strikers don't score, and they don't have anybody pushing them that can score when they're in, right? So it's like,
we're getting goals from Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe and Odegaard. We're not getting goals from Lacazette. But he provides a totally different strength to the team that Aubameyang didn't. Take away Aubameyang's pace and no goals. He provides, very little. And he's a player who becomes disinterested. He's, that's his mantra. So at Barcelona, he's going to go on a run for a bit, but how long is that going to last? And let's not forget, the dude wasn't scoring. Gets benched at Everton. We go on to score 21 goals. So enough with this. Oh, he's scoring hat tricks at Barcelona. Nonsense.
Yeah. No, but I mean, he has goals in him. That's my thing. Is he has goals in him, and we
not
have
for Arsenal.
We have
not for Arsenal in the last
opportunities
year and a bit.
Yeah, but we have opportunities up top to score, right? We just don't have somebody there that can do it, and you think those are missed opportunities sometimes, and they come back. When your young wingers are struggling, right? When your young wingers are struggling, that's when you kind of need somebody else to fill the gap, right? And we just don't have that. Because we know we're not getting it from a Lacazette right now.
He'll score tomorrow. Bank it.
I'll take it. Because we definitely need it, and it'll keep teams honest when they play us if they know what goal is going to come from anywhere. And right now they know they're going to come from the wide parts of the field, and they have to be able to control that. But if it comes through the middle, that will surprise them, and that'll make things fun for us. Hopefully, so hopefully we see that.
I was looking at when Klopp took over at Liverpool. It was October 2015. First season finished 8th. Well, we know Arteta took over in December of his season. Next season he finished 4th. Then he finished 4th again. Now back then there was only a few decent teams, wasn't there? You had we all know who they were. So even you have some kind of comparison, it took Klopp with more money than what Arteta's probably have not at pound for pound, because back then less money bought you more. And then you had a massive amount of influx of money with the Coutinho money eventually, and that went and bought you a quarter of a decent team. And then even with someone like Klopp, who is a world-class manager, he's done it at Dortmund, he's done it at Liverpool, he will go on and do it in Spain or Italy or wherever he goes next. He's a magnificent manager. For Arteta to come in and finish 8th the same in his first season, and then in his second season, I mean, that was affected by so many factors, be it COVID, no supporters in the ground, or all these other things, and turmoil at the club. And then it looks like in his next season, Arteta is fighting for 4th, just like Klopp was fighting for 4th.
But it's where you finish. This is the whole argument of, but in the January table to May, we were like the best team. The season starts in August, people. And we can say where we're at now. There's 15 games to go. We could end up finishing, God forbid, 7th or 8th. And I agree with you on the competitiveness, Danny, because of the money, right? The money's different now. The influx of money, the ownership of certain clubs, so they're able to compete on a totally different playing field. But he did, it was 8th, but then he did finish 4th. So he made it count. Now, Arteta has to make it count. Because now the disappointment, and I just can't deal with the sky falling, at the end of the season if we do not finish in the top 5 at least.
Yeah.
And that's the part where even though I've been critical of him, and some people come at me, you're an Arteta hater. No, there's nothing more I would love for him to succeed, because that means I get to cheer for my club being successful. I want him to succeed. I want to eat the humble pie. I just call it as I see it on a game-by-game basis. And between now and the end of the season, I think that's all we can go by, you know, is how do we perform and getting results. Kevin would take, he said, 15 ugly 1-0s. Doesn't care how we play. He would take old school George Graham, boring Arsenal 1-0 wins. And there's something to be said about that in order for that psyche, you know, that culture to shift another gear and people be like, well, Arsenal finish. Can you imagine if we finish in the top 4? Like, what are people going to say? We've always been the dartboard. Exactly.
You know, the thing about the 1-0 win, that's if that is the makeup of your team, then yeah, so be it. We'll go with that. But that's not where we are.
Doesn't matter, does it?
You know, no, it doesn't matter. No, but it doesn't matter. But we are, if we are playing. For me, that sounds like that's a strength, that you'll be able to win games 1-0, right? That's a strength of the team. For us, I think we definitely. I always said this back when Wenger was managing the team, that we have 3 goals in us in every match that we play. And if you looked at them, you always saw an opportunity for us to score 3 goals. And if we scored the 3 goals, we at least got a draw. You know, right now I feel like we always have about 2 goals in us easy because of the way that the style of play that we have right now. With the young wingers, that people just, you know, they have to chop down Saka because they don't want to, you know, if he gets going, they're in trouble. And then when Martinelli's doing the same thing on the other side, now what do? You know, they don't have answers for that. And when we're on, we should have easily 2 goals to score on every match that we play. And we always have those opportunities. They get lost because we're young, but we definitely have that opportunity. And I can see us scoring 2 goals from here on out in most matches, because that's just the style of play that we have and the players that we have. You know, we're going to keep teams from scoring with that back 5, no doubt about it. But I think going forward, we have a lot more to offer than just the 1 goal. And that.
But if it ends up being 1 goal and not 2,
I'll
who
take
cares?
that. We'll take
you know
the
what
win.
I mean? We won 1-0 against Wolves with 10 men. That Arsenal 2 seasons prior would have lost that game 4-1.
Yeah. And I think that's part. Yeah, some of that is because we do have we can press teams, right? They do have to fear us a little bit going forward. Back then, not so much, you know. And then we kind of lose, like you said, we lose our way, and that's the team. That's the team concept that we have right now. That we know we can handle most anything now, right? 11 men, 10 men, we can handle that. Being behind a goal, I'm not sure we're there yet, but we will be. We will be. But playing on the front foot, I think we've got that handled, and just need to put the goals in. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So yeah.
There haven't been too many beatings under Arteta, to be fair to him.
Nobody runs away from us for sure. Yeah, in most games they don't run away from us, huh?
And when we play the best teams in the league, like you were saying earlier, Gary, that first half performance against Man City and that defensive second half performance against Liverpool, 2 of the best teams in the league, and we outplayed them. We out-defended them in one and we outplayed them in another. And like you're saying, it's just a matter of trying to put these things together so that we can put in a decent run. And if we can do it against the best teams, then. But I also find that we play better against teams that like to play football. There's I can hear a buzzing.
What's that? I can hear it too, but I don't know if that's me or not.
Oh, I think it was. Don't worry. Yeah. So then I was just looking because Deke in the chat is a friend of mine, and he keeps going on about ESR cough. He wants ESR as a number 9. So I just happened to have gone through. It's back again, Soph. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
No, still can't hear you. There you go. That's it. It's gone now. Yes, I was looking back at ESR and Saka when they were playing for the under 18s and the under 23s. In 17-18, combination of all those games, ESR got 9 goals in 24 games. And that season, Saka was only in the under 18s. He got 8 in 22. Next season, ESR only in the under 23s and playing for the first team, 7 in 11. And Saka and under 18s and the under 23s and playing for Arsenal first team, 14 in 34. So you look from 2017-18 to 18-19, all competitions at all levels for Arsenal. ESR 16 in 35, Saka 22 in 56. I didn't realise, Soph, that ESR was 6 foot tall, 6.5 feet. Is there any, I mean, with his ability to score goals, do you think there's any legs in the fact that Smith Rowe could play up front?
I think we underestimate his physicality because of his injury record so far, right? His body was still developing. Well, a man's body doesn't stop really truly growing or developing until 21. And he's had to deal with some injuries. But I can't remember what team it was, guys. You could probably remind me, where he went on this break from the back. Was it Tottenham? And he was like a road runner right through the middle. And I think we underestimate his speed. I think we underestimate his strength. I think he's one of those players, even though he's 6 foot, he's got that kind of that low center of gravity vibe about him. He's strong on the ball.
Socks down makes his legs look shorter.
Yes, yeah. And also, I think that, you know, I've never seen him head the ball. That's the only thing for a 6 foot guy. You know, he's all about feet. I don't know if there's a clip of ESR heading the ball. Can we need to find that clip if it exists. But I find him imposing, and as he grows and matures even more, because he still feels like a young man, but once he becomes like a total man, I think that he needs to grow a bit more muscle, I think, on the upper body. But yeah, it's very deceiving, his height. When you look at him, you don't think that he's 6 foot. He's such an elegant player, but he can be rough. He can be tough. He's got so many attributes. And if he can stay fit, Danny, I predicted on our show that if he stays fit, I think his ceiling might be higher than Saka. Call me crazy, throw darts at me, don't at me. But
he doesn't get attacked as much on the pitch. There's less likely of him getting a long-term injury.
He will eventually. That will come for Emile Smith Rowe too, because the more he plays, the more he'll be targeted. I mean, Saka's non-protection is ridiculous, but a lot of young players don't get that protection because they don't have that respect yet, which is crazy to me.
And I think for me, I think it's also the foot speed that makes Saka the threat, and that's why he gets taken down, because a couple of times he'll put pressure on you, and eventually the players just get frustrated and bring him down. Martinelli, on the other hand, just runs away from people. I mean, at some point I just want him to just take that ball into the goal, because I don't think they could slow him down at all. I think he makes it easy for the defense sometimes. When I see him play, I kind of feel like if he just takes it, he'll put pressure on them, and they'll eventually have to start bringing him down, but they don't now, because he kind of bails them out. Emile Smith Rowe, in that first half, he tried to do some things like I saw from Martinelli, and he just doesn't have the foot speed, and he didn't seem like he was able to get by his man.
But Beckham didn't have foot speed,
Yeah.
He has speed, but I don't agree. I think he's got quick feet, and I think he can turn players on a whim, and I think the way he touches the ball and takes the ball, I think he opens up spaces for his teammates and stuff. But to me, I think his all-round game offers a lot more than what Saka offers. Yet Saka right now is definitely fundamentally probably one of, if not the most important player to the team, because the dude takes 3 defenders with him, 4 defenders with him. So it's not so much about what he does with the ball, it's what he offers off the ball too when he makes a run. He just attracts defenders because they fear him more than they fear Emile Smith Rowe.
Yeah, and I mean, because when I looked at the 2 halves of the last match, when Emile Smith Rowe got the score, he had space and and the pass was perfect. He was able to take it in stride, and at that point, he's got the defender right where he wants him. And then, like you said, you got Tierney also coming on the outside. I don't think he had that much. He didn't have that cover in the first half with Tierney coming down the side when he was attacking, and that kind of he couldn't do it. The defender was able to defend him a little bit better there. But as soon as there was another player there, I think that opened things up for him. And we don't see that. And I think another thing also is that. I think happened this summer is that Emile Smith Rowe actually got to probably either mentally recharge or also work on the things that he needed to work on in the summer. Because when he came back we've just been seeing some good things from him in terms of scoring wise. And I think that's, for me, it's almost like that's what Saka needs. He needs a little bit of time away from football, maybe to recharge his batteries, and not just, in his legs, but also in his mind, to get him to that point to where he's scoring like Emile Rowe is right now. Right. I mean,
I think it's a blessing the World Cup's later this year than this summer, because he'll get a rest in the summer. And that's really important for Saka for sure. He's played a lot of football in the last 18 months.
I like to see him grow that way, because I think it's there, and I mean, all three of the youngsters right now, I think we're happy. We should be happy to have them, and hopefully we can keep them, because if they keep growing the way they are, we'll be fine. And I've always said that it's an age dynamic that we just don't have. We have the youngsters. They don't have anybody to look up to. Who's taking minutes from either one of them, from Martinelli or Saka or Emile Rowe right now that's over 24. There's nobody.
I think they're mature. I think Saka and Emile Rowe and Martinelli are a lot more mature than Foden and Grealish and Greenwood. I think Rashford is in the same maturity bracket as our players. Mason Mount is very mature for his age too. I think we're really lucky that even though we have young players, I mean, even, Tomiyasu's still young, Ben White's young, but they have a level of maturity. We may have naivety on the pitch sometimes, but even though our players are young, there's this level of maturity to them that I think is really unique in that age group.
Yeah, they've had to grow up. And they've taken the challenge and done well with it. I mean, when Saka was coming up, right, he just played anywhere. I mean, he had 8 positions at the end of the day, I think, that he played at some point. It seemed, left, right, it didn't matter. Defensive, midfield, forward, he did everything. And you want that, right? Just get me on the pitch. I'm a footballer. I play wherever you want me to, and that was great to see. And now he's finally gotten into the in a position where, that's your position. Just keep working on that and growing there, and that's been good to see. And that's one thing Arteta's done, is like he said, I'm just gonna have to keep you there. And because I've always felt there's been games where, we're missing some players. Maybe put Saka back at left back, right? And I would have liked to have seen
unless
that.
It's a Europa League semi-final, you put Xhaka there.
I would have liked to have seen it, just to say, we've got, we know he can play it, and we don't have to. He can play it and be much better, I think, at that left back than taking a Xhaka out of the midfield and putting him back at that point. I think that would have I would have liked to have seen it, just to see how that would have worked, because we know he's played there and he's been pretty good there. So that's the one thing with these players. And, when they're on the pitch, you see them switch sides all the time, and that means you never know where it's going to come from, right?
It's good that we have the versatility, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, both the goals were scored from the same side, different players who don't necessarily start on that side. So, this is good. It's a good, like I said, these are the steps, and I want to build on them. We definitely need to build on them. Like next season, we should be saying, maybe Saka and Emile Rowe or Xhaka have to sit. It's not because they're having a bad time. It's just because that's the makeup of the team, and we don't have to lean on them as much as we did in the past. So that's the other part, is the depth, right? We need better depth so that we don't have to play them, right? And even now, I feel like one of Martinelli, Saka, or Emile Rowe should sit out a match, just so that, one, they can come off the bench if needed, but also that day we don't wear them down. So, we're going to have that 3-game stretch with Liverpool in the middle, where what do you do? If you're not rotating them in, then you're going to be in trouble during that stretch, and that's going to be, we'll see how Arteta decides to handle that situation. But hopefully it works out for us in the best case scenario there.
And moving on to tomorrow's game, Soph, how do you see that going? And have you ever seen a club complain about another team celebrating?
Funny, isn't it? I thought Wolves looked like they were doing a little bit of celebrating in their last game, for sure. I just think that it's great that we're pissing teams off. This is the Arsenal that we want. You know what? 10 men, we fought like dogs. It's a massive battle for fourth. You're clipping on all of our heels, by the way. Credit to Wolves and their new manager. He's done a great job. Even though they haven't been scoring a lot of goals, my goodness, he's improved them. It's like Burnley. Burnley are actually playing better football, but are at bottom of the table. Wolves are playing better football, and earlier in the season you weren't really seeing that, whereas now it's all come to fruition. So I loved that we pissed them off. I love that we riled them up. The more we do that, the better. We've always been the dartboard for other teams. And I just thought it was a bit of a sour grapes from the player that, let's be honest, if he could play for Arsenal, he would love to put that red shirt on, wouldn't he, that fella? Hey,
and I would take him. So
yeah, me too.
he can whine all he wants as long as we beat them. But you know what? Next season, if he's if it's a possibility, we should go out and get him.
He's a very, very good player. I think we're going to win convincingly tomorrow. I think. The away game's always tough at Molineux. I believe that, we've found a little bit of a groove. We've got players, we're playing with confidence. We put January in the rearview mirror. I really feel Lacazette will get a goal tomorrow.
That'd be great for him.
It will be. And I really fancy him to get a goal tomorrow. I felt like a 3-1.
He was close at the weekend, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, and it's just a confidence thing. He's put the team on his shoulders. He's being a proper captain, a proper leader, even though he's leaving in the summer. He's been so professional. He's not said one bad thing about the club. He's just gone about his business.
At the age of 30.
Yeah,
not getting enough credit.
No, and I've always said he's our Bobby Firmino, right? Salah and Mane are brilliant. Now, Lacazette doesn't have a Salah or a Mane. He has very talented players on the flanks, but they're not those players. They're not those types, right? Bobby Firmino gets more goals than Lacazette, but he does all of the things that Firmino does. Holds the ball up well, links players. Players are able to play whether, the ball goes through the channel, whether it goes wide. Unfortunately, Lacazette, not aerially. We haven't really had an aerial threat since Giroud left. So when those crosses come in from Tierney, they always need to come to feet, which is not easy to do, right? Which is why we need a target man. But my goodness, what would we look like without him? I know he's not scoring, but what would we look like as a team without what he does on the pitch?
I always, like I said, and once again, I'll go back to the last game. In the first half, I felt like he was too far up the pitch. Right. And then in the second half, he was playing a little bit closer to the midline and things opened up for us because he was basically part of the reason why we scored the 2 goals. Right. He made the pass on the first one and the second one. If he doesn't put pressure on the defender and the ball trickles over to Partey, we don't, that run, that attack doesn't happen. So for me, like you said, he's not doing anything for us in the final third, or it's actually in the box right now. So it's okay if he doesn't go there, but we've seen some really good things from him when he's part of the build-up as we counter or start our attack. So, like you said, maybe that's a good position for him as he moves further along because he's been pretty good for us, really good for us.
Yeah,
I wish the money made sense, which it doesn't.
No, we can't get into that trap again, Gary. Can we really? I mean, that's not good. Yeah. And also, when I saw someone in chat saying Martinelli up front is the answer. Do you know how physical the demands are to play up front? And is Martinelli physically ready to play that role? Kev was talking about Pepe too, because there are a lot of people saying, well, play Pepe down the middle. Pepe sometimes finds it physically challenging to take on players on the flanks, let alone have to deal with strong physical centre-backs. It's not easy to just say, hey, play Martinelli, up front. That takes time. He may be training for that position. Arteta may be testing things in training, but it's 15 cup finals between now and then. Also experimenting at this point in the season, you'll only really do if there's an injury to someone. Lacazette's the captain right now. He's going to start every game. And I think we'll only see those kinds of tweaks and changes, guys, if there's an injury to Lacazette. Otherwise, just keep things as they are. If it's not broke, don't, the saying, just because he's not scoring, right? It's not like he's our forward for the next 2 years and you're going to be like, oh my God, what are we going to do? He's leaving and we've got to use him for the right reasons right now to just get us through the rest of the season and try and finish in that top 4 position. And in that regard, what he offers, he's doing a decent job, in my opinion, if other players continue to score around him. Who cares where the goals come from at this point in the season? That's my opinion.
In years gone by, you were not that long ago, you'd be playing a team of 2 strikers. So Martinelli could play up front with Lacazette or play off of Lacazette. He'd do all the running. Like in the Bergkamp Henry days, Bergkamp got slower. Henry played around him. Bergkamp did all the magical stuff and Henry scored the goals. That doesn't happen anymore because it's being a striker was a lonely job. They were more obsessed with wingers and packing the midfield or occasionally packing the defence. And that would be great. I mean, imagine a run of 5 or 6 games if we weren't pushing for anything, where you could have Lacazette up front with Martinelli. He'd learn more from that 5 games, and he probably will do all season playing on his own up there. And sadly, I don't think we're ever going to see that because Arteta has got the formation that he likes, the 4-2-3-1 formation, and there's very little give because you can't put Lacazette in the middle of the midfield 3 because that's where Odegaard plays, and he cannot do that job. He is struggling to do the false 9, the kind of holding 9 job, and he can't sacrifice Odegaard. Plus, at the moment, Gary, we've got no injuries. I mean, that is... People were saying it was such a huge gamble from Arteta to get rid of all these players. What if? Great name for a show, Sophie. If you ever decide to people go to the Hybrid Squad and listen to their last night's show. What if? I won't give it away, but Kev didn't want to play along, did he?
No, but he did in the end.
He did.
I surprised him with that one. By the way, that was me knocking on wood after you saying we don't have injuries, in case everyone was wondering if there was someone at the door.
Our margins in the past are different now, right? Our margins in the past were, we got few chances to score, and if we didn't take them, we were in trouble. Now we're getting the chances to score, but we just have to make sure we have our 11 or 12 players healthy going from here on out, right? Or whatever 13 players we can play probably without missing too much on the pitch. So our margins have changed. So we do have time to rest in between these matches, and so hopefully we don't have to deal with any of that. Hopefully we don't deal with any of that. But yeah, and I think that depending on the games that we're playing, maybe we'll have a different approach for each game now that we have time to think about it. That maybe can help us, especially if we have to move some things around in terms of players. So Arteta does have the time to implement whatever he wants, and well, in the past we wouldn't have that now because games would be coming, every 2 to 3 games or every 3 to 4 days we would have a game. So he has time to prepare, and you hope to see that. I mean, I think in the past we always were concerned that what did we work on in practice because we look a little lost. Now I think you can see we have an approach that we're going to take, and I think we just have to finish. If we finish, I think we'll be okay. But otherwise, I think we're being put in the right positions to succeed, and that's kind of one of the things that I wanted us to always be, is have a chance, and we do have that now. So yeah, knock on wood, we don't see anybody on the injury list, and we'll be fine.
And could Pepe be a trump card as the season, as the final act of the season kicks in? I thought he had a decent 20 minutes when he came on the other day. And we're going to need everybody available. We need our best 11, but Pepe is the best on the bench talent-wise. Now, form-wise and all that jazz, we can talk about that. But he can come on and do something. He's got the X-factor ability in him. So if there was ever a change up front, he would trump Nketiah all day long for me. I think he could have a say in some of these games.
And also the fact that the players are younger, which means they're not going to be putting on so many having so many injuries all the time, because the older the players get, they don't heal as quickly, and we've got other things like that, and it's just it's all coming together nicely. And I've said it so many times, the top 19 players, Premier League minutes this season, we've still got 17 out of 18 or 18 out of 19 are still at the club. And that's just fantastic.
Nobody can beat Danny's stats. I'm telling you right now, how he doesn't have an account with like 1 million followers with his stats and whatever. I use him as a reference on our show. I say, reference, Danny GFP, a Bergkamp Wonderland. I mean, brilliant. Sometimes we're doing the show and he's in chat and someone will say something, or I will, and he's like, well, so did you know, and he's like this encyclopedia. It's insane. I mean, seriously.
A lot of it is having windows up with all the information in, but that one I actually looked it up. Like, I'm working on maybe something at the moment about Saka and Smith Rowe and what they've done for the youths and the reserves, but it's an hour and 5 minutes. So how do you think the game's going to go?
Yeah, I've got five. So I think we'll win 3-1. I think that Wolves have found it difficult to score, and we're a good defence. And I believe that we let in that goal against Brentford, which was a bit disappointing. So I would love to see a clean sheet to bounce back from that. But I fancy a 3-1. I even fancy a brace from Lacazette and maybe Saka grabbing another goal. Xhaka and Partey, for the time that Xhaka is here, you guys, the same with Laka. We're not going to be able to say that in a little while, are we? Xhaka, Laka, Saka. But I think, again, he offers the best partnership to Partey. The two of them together is just as important as that back five now, So that is fundamentally going to be part of our success. So hopefully he can keep his head and is sensible, leads by example, which is a stretch for him sometimes. But the importance of that partnership is just as important as Gabriel and Ben White. In fact, Kev said on the show he thinks it's even more important. Because sometimes Bob Holding can come in and do a job, but that midfield is going to be really important. So 3-1 for me, 2 goals from Laka, 1 from Saka. Bank it, caress it, kiss it, nut it, love it, like it.
So you're going there. So tell people where everybody knows where they can find you. But if anybody's listening at home, in the bus or on the toilet, tell them about your podcast and what you and Kev get up to.
Don't forget to flush.
One of my favourites.
It's at Highbury Squad across all social platforms, and we're back up and running and updated on iTunes and Spotify and Acast as well now too. Every night 8:00 unless otherwise stated. We're back tomorrow for the post-game show, and also Kevin Says with his live fan Q&A on Fridays. And check out the channel, because we've got a lot of non-game day tactical stuff that's a lot of fun for you guys to get your teeth stuck into. Danny, as always, thank you. A Bergkamp Wonderland is the very first podcast, in case you guys have been under a rock, was the first podcast I ever appeared on. And these fellas, Danny especially, Jeff, so supportive and have been, had my back from day one. And I will never forget, and I always appreciate that. So thanks. Thanks, D.
We were there for the creation of the Arsenal unicorn, the very special one. Everyone, they either love her or hate her, but they can't stop watching. That's the thing, isn't it? Cheers, Soph. You've been brilliant as always.
Love you guys. Gary, keep smashing it. Thanks. Great chatting to you. Take care.
Thank you, Sophie. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Bye. Great people in chat. Take care.
And then there were 2. Right, so anybody got any questions? We've got 4 questions at the moment saved up. We've got them banked for me and Gary to go through in a little bit later. But just looking at the results at the moment, Gary, it's just looking at you got about another 10, 15 minutes, haven't you?
Yeah, I can talk for a bit. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just looking at the Premier League results at the moment, Liverpool are smashing Leeds 3-0 half-time, 2 penalties for Mo Salah, and a goal for their centre-back, Matip. That leaves Leeds in a hell of a lot of trouble, doesn't it? They've now not won one in their last 6 games. When you look at the teams down the bottom, Norwich have won a couple, Burnley and Watford have won 1, Newcastle unbeaten in 6, 3 wins, 3 draws. But it looks like Leeds and Everton are the ones plummeting towards the bottom. Do you think either of those 2 can go down? Or because like Sophie was saying, with buying that Weghorst from Wolfsburg has changed the dynamics at Burnley. Could Burnley pull it off? Could Norwich pull it off?
I mean, that's the thing. I think, as many have said, I think whoever that relegation battle, you never know. And like as the games start coming, and they have games in hand. So once they have to start playing those games in hand, we'll see. We'll know a little bit better. But also they have, they're going to have multiple games in a week, whereas now they only have 1 a week, and they're still struggling. So, but their games are pretty good. So yeah, that will be good to see. I think only one of like the Leeds and Everton's or Newcastle is going to go down. I think it's Norwich and and Watford are probably going to stay at the bottom there. They're too many points behind, and I think they have more games played, so teams will probably push away from them as it is. So I think it's going to be it might be a struggle for them to get out of the bottom 2 spots. So I think I think, as I said, now with Liverpool, winning and being 3 points back, that the top of the table, the top 4 and the bottom 5 is going to be kind of a nice battle to see. So it should be, it keeps us entertained. You don't have to just worry about where you are in the table, because everywhere it is going to be a little battle going on.
So who would you like to see go down? I don't want Norwich to go down. I don't really want Leeds to go down. So I'd like to see. I hate Watford. I hate Burnley. And I kind of like to see Everton go down, because at the moment, the most number of seasons in the top league is Arsenal. We've played more seasons in the top league than any other team, but then consecutive seasons is actually Everton. So if Everton go down, that's as good as a trophy, isn't it, Gary?
we want to be ahead of that team, all right, at the end of the season. So that would be a trophy. That would be the first trophy that we want, all right. So as long as that team is behind us when the table is finalized, I think that'd be number one trophy that we want to get if we're going to look at trophies that way. But I do want to see Leeds. I want to see Leeds stay up. I don't really have too much of a say in who else goes down, but I think Leeds would be staying where they are is be nice. Everton would be. I mean, we always keep talking whenever there's a comparison. It's always Arsenal and Everton, and then every year they get worse. They've been getting worse and worse every time we brought that comparison. That Everton's probably going to challenge us, and every year they fall further and further away from us. And now look where they are. I mean, they're on the doorsteps of going down. So. So be it. Maybe we can steal some of their players if we've always been looking for. Maybe
that's what I was thinking about Leeds. You got that young man in central midfield who plays for England, whose name I can never remember.
I want to say I'm saying Phillips, but is it Phillips? It's not Phillips.
Oh, it is.
Is it Phillips? Phillips, yeah.
Calvin Phillips.
Yes.
Yeah, what a player he is. Like he's like a slightly more gettable Declan Rice, that kind of English midfielder that just do wonders for our team. But if they go down, there'll be so many of their players. Their goalkeeper's pretty good. Yep. Anyway, we're not talking about them anymore.
I think a lot of people, I think the jokes on you kind of thing would be if Newcastle goes down, right? I mean, everybody that would when the richest team in the world or whatever, and they can't stay up, that'd be funny, I think. But I don't see it, but that'd be funny because the way they've been playing has been pretty good. So I think they'll be okay. But it would be funny to see them drop.
If you were playing for Arsenal tomorrow and you scored a goal or we won the game, would you do some kind of celebration where you just refuse to go up to the Wolves fans and go, cross your arms and go? No celebration.
We should. They already hate us as it is. So why not? You know what? We win the match. We beat them twice. How many teams can say that? I think they make it tough for everybody. We go out there after beating them the first time where it looked like, it could have been a draw, and then come out and then beat them this time. Yeah. You know what? The one thing that we haven't seen from our team is the team enjoying themselves and having fun. Why not? You worked really hard for it. You get the win. Why not? We see teams do that to us all the time. We're always upset about it. I want to see the fans, the fans, but the players happy. Oh, I didn't say that. I never said that. I said it'd be funny. That's all I said. I'm sorry.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Stan's family.
Yeah,
can't have that.
I'm sorry. Hopefully he still likes me. It was a what if, right? We talked about what ifs earlier in the day. This is a what if. It'd be funny, but I don't see it because I think they're playing good. So.
Yeah, they're safe from relegation. Well, let's go and do some of the people's questions or comments. First one from Matt Roberts from about 7:17, 13 minutes before the show started. That's dedication, people. Hello, all in the chat. ABW question: if Saka, ESR, Martinelli don't score, who will get the goals? Also, who would you play if you decided not to play them all at all because they needed a rest? So that would be left wing, right wing, and. Well, all three don't always play, do they?
No, they don't always play. So if we couldn't play them all, I think we would be somewhat. Well, would it be okay? We just have Pepe. Pepe. Who do we have? I mean, we'll have to change our formation, right? Because right now it's just Pepe, kind of, as far as playing out wide. I don't. Yeah, that would be.
He's done you there, hasn't he?
Yeah, that would be a struggle. That's why I feel like we should be rotating them as it is, because we can't afford to have one down and maybe another one need some rest. So hopefully that situation doesn't happen. But if they couldn't all play, then Pepe is going to play. I have a feeling that would have to change our formation somewhat, because I don't see anybody else that I would want to put in the starting lineup. I have to play more of a defensive game then if we do that. Who do we have? Nobody really for me that I would.
It'd have to be Pepe on the right, wouldn't it? Yeah. It'd be Pepe on the right, and I suppose Ødegaard could play. If you're going to play all three of those, it'd be ESR playing in the kind of 8 role. So Ødegaard would play there. Pepe would have to play right and left. Well, there you go. There is no one, is there?
No, I don't. Yeah, so that is the struggle, and that's kind of the margins that we're talking about, right? So that would be a struggle. And you know what? If they didn't score, we always have. Gabriel is one of our top 5 scorers on the team. So you've got Gabriel who scores, and you know what? Surprisingly, maybe if Lacazette gets even more opportunities to score, he'll eventually hit one. So if he doesn't have those 3 players around him, maybe he will squeeze one in as well. All right.
Thunder says Danny's still sneezing into his hands. I don't ever wash my hands. I never wash my hands ever. I've not washed them for years. I'm not going to start now. And I didn't want to make too much noise. A bit of an animal. Someone said something nice here. Pat Naffs, a bit random, but I feel like saying this. I've not been following the Premier League too closely for a while now, but I love that you named this a Bergkamp Wonderland. Football is an art. Yeah, June 2013, where I came up with the name, and Gimli went, I like that, because we decided to do a podcast. Noza says Gabriel will just score the headers. Wilty, Pepe left, Ødegaard right. Yeah. Mr. Waffle said Eddie
that
on the
right
wing.
There. That is the I just we hope, you know what? No. We're
That's
not. That's never going to
it?
be a scenario for us. I'm sorry, it cannot be. Patino, and then Hutchison has been on the bench, so you know what? I don't know if those players can move up a little bit, but hopefully that we'd never have to even think about that. Yeah.
Right. Another question here from Julio Salmondo. It says, thoughts on Arteta and his supposed new contract. Do we agree that he's not going to get sacked unless he finishes outside of the Europa League positions? Europa League Champions League.
I would expect that to be the case, but if they give him the contract beforehand, I don't think they care. And I think he needs to have a little bit of pressure. Most managers do have a little bit of pressure, and I want to see him overachieve. You know what I mean? I want to see him overachieve when right now we're, coming into the season, I thought he would finish between 5th and 7th, and that would be an improvement. If he's able to overachieve and get 4th, then he should be guaranteed a contract, and that should be kind of what they discussed when he went to visit, even though I think a lot of us thought when he went to visit it was to maybe make sure we had some more money for more players. But I think it's too soon to be even having that discussion, because I feel like he's in the middle of a race for top 4, and I don't think that should be something he should be too concerned about in the media. I mean, I assume somebody's letting that out too soon, but he's young, right? He's a young manager, and I don't think he should have to be dealing with that along with trying to get his team of young stars in a top 4 race and finish top 4, which would be a massive achievement if he does it. So I kind of feel like, let him grow. We don't want to put our players in that situation. So why should we put our young manager? Let him coach it, coach the season out, and then we'll see where we are. And even if he doesn't get to those goals and the team already felt they were going to sign him anyways, then you're going to do it anyway. So there's no rush. So there's no reason to even have that be a discussion point. Let us play some football. Let us try to get, have one of the best runs here at the end of the season and finish above most of the teams that we're concerned about, right?
Good answer. Quick one here from Sai. Sai, thanks again for your Prime subscription. And there's also somebody called Arsenal Rule on Twitch. They subscribed to our channel for 15 months. I've only just seen that. Whoever you are, Arsenal Rule, thank you very much. It's Twitch only, Twitch Prime ones only. Don't go give us actual money. Right, so Sai says, yes or no, can Eddie score one goal before he leaves? I'm sure he can, can't he?
Yeah, he can score one. I mean, that's the problem is that we only think he probably can score the one. So
will it be a header?
I mean, I have a feeling like if he's just in the box, the ball might just, knock off of him and go into the goal because of just what he provides in terms of a scoring threat. So he does some good work when he comes in. It's just, we just don't ever, when do you ever feel like he's going to put one in, put a goal in? And we never feel that way. And he hasn't done it in the Premier League this season, even though he scored, I think, 4 goals maybe, in this season, but just nothing.
All in the League Cup and FA Cup.
Yeah, we're just getting nothing from him there. And, he needs more games, but he's just not showing enough. So, yeah, he'll get one that, if he keeps playing and they keep, having to play him end of games, maybe we'll break through. Yeah, can he though? That's we won't be surprised if he doesn't. That's the thing, right? If he doesn't score, but he plays, comes in and finishes, closes for Lacazette, we won't be surprised if he gets no goals. I mean, right now, as you said, the striker getting goals isn't really part of our plan.
Yeah, they don't need that. We've got goals from everywhere else. Tulbyfall, I think I've said your name right. It was one of the early questions at 8 p.m, so that's nearly an hour ago. Can you explain how some Arteta critics blame Arteta for freezing out Ozil? It already started with Wenger, and then Emery hardly played him at all. Arteta actually brought him in at the start. Is it as simple as Ozil fanboys where unless he plays every single game, they hate him, and Arteta haters where he can do no wrong, no right?
I mean, I think it's a similar scenario to what we saw with Aubameyang. I mean, I think Arteta has a style of play that he's more comfortable with, and a look and a form for certain players in certain positions that he likes. And I don't think Ozil was providing that to him. He wanted him to do. For me, I always felt he wanted him to do more than he was, he liked to do. And I think he wants a lot of his players to maybe come back and play some defense. And I kind of felt like that might be one of the sticking points for why we saw Ozil struggle to get the playing time that he wanted. Is that I think Arteta asked a lot of him more than he's done in the past. And it just wasn't going to work out. And when that happens, eventually Arteta just says, you know what? I'm done trying to make this work. Because I just, and that's been his process. If there's something about a player that just doesn't seem to fit into his, into his list of requirements, then eventually they just kind of start to disappear and you never see them again. And then eventually they leave, right? I mean, we've seen that with a lot of players. And, that's kind of where I feel like, until Arteta gets his 25 players, we won't know how this team will perform when they have, European football and whatnot to go going. So, yeah, I think that for me, it's more of a style of what the manager wanted and what the player was going to present to him. I mean, I think what you've seen from him now is that, he probably is older and his time has passed, right? He's playing in a league that he should be able to have a little bit more fun in, and he still can't. So sometimes
still the fanboys are raving about him.
Yeah,
because my boys Trabzonspor going to win their first proper title in about a million years. The team in second place lost again, and so Trabzonspor about 9 points clear or some number like that, because Kev Campbell used to play for them people. And it's going to be a title, and it is going to be glorious because Galatasaray are right near down the bottom quarter of the table. Besiktas are doing nothing. Fenerbahce is struggling, even with the superstar that is alleged Ozil. A question here from... Go on.
Like I say, like a lot of people have said, have many of the players that have left, how have they performed? And anybody that's been older, not so much. But maybe the younger players that have gone. I mean, if you look at most of the younger players that have gone out there. You've got more of the Guendouzi's and Salibas and Mavropanos than you do the Nelsons and the Maitland-Niles and some of the other younger players. So that's what you're seeing with the younger players. You're seeing much more positives in terms of the style of play they're having. The older players, most of them just aren't doing it anymore, which is fine. And I think, either for what Arteta wanted, that's good. So, yeah, sorry if I went off on a tangent there.
Julio says, if Stuttgart get relegated, does that take away the obligation to buy for Mavropanos? I think it does, because I'm sure that when we read the initial loan deal, it was an obligation to buy if they avoided relegation. I remember thinking at the time, well, they did a really good season last season. They're not going down. Currently, there's in the Bundesliga, 2 go down, which is 18th and 17th, and then 16th is 18 league team there, teams league. Anyway, so the bottom 2 go down. The one above goes into a playoff. So the top 2 in Bundesliga 2 go up, and third place play against third bottom in the Bundesliga. I think they play home and away to decide whether one stays up or goes down. I think the Premier League did that way back in the day when we were knocking it down from 24 to 22 to 20 teams. So if they do get relegated and they're not looking good, we will get him back. And then all those teams that are going, hey, Stuttgart, we'll give you 15 million for him. We'll do that and get them.
I mean, I think, and you know what, that would be nice. That would be nice to have a Mavropanos and a Saliba fighting for spots with a White and Gabriel. I mean, who wouldn't want that? You've got some players that have basically solidified their spots. But then you've got some younger players that want to take it away. I mean, Arsenal needs some of that. If that's called luck, I don't know, but they need some of that because we need. I like to look at that bench. I don't usually bring him up because it's not, there's nothing good comes out of it anymore. So, but I kind of, that would be really nice to have, and then we wouldn't have any questions about who is, we need to bring in another center back, right? So that right there, that's got to be the message of the day, and I would like to see that number go up some more, just to make, just to put a bigger smile on our faces. But,
currently Spurs are on negative goal difference.
That is nice. That is really
Have you got the game on there?
I don't. I wasn't going to put it on because I didn't want to, jinx it. But I'm going to put it on now. So let's see if I can.
Don't have any audio. We'll get shot
no
for that.
Here. Yeah,
got another question. Looks like the final question from Phil Macker. Is it going to be a decent one? So Spurs win at City aside. Do we agree they are getting weaker by the season as we get strong again? I think he means Man City. Are Man City getting weaker? I think sometimes Spurs, as much as I hate to say it, do kind of play half-decent football, don't they? And there's only maybe 6 or 7 teams in the Premier League that are playing decent football. And when you get 2 of them playing against each other, like we saw when we played Liverpool and we saw against Man City, we played really well. They struggled to beat us. But that performance by Harry Kane, that was average.
Yeah, you can't give him too much praise, right? So no, let's not even do that.
Like him.
Yeah,
but it was interesting.
I mean, at every point in that game, it was always like, you know what, City will just eventually run away with this thing, right? City will do what they need to do and get the win, and it never happened. So they're playing up for City, and then Burnley, and that's kind of. I guess they say, was it Spursy? And I shouldn't have said that because that's close to their name. But yeah, no, I think, you love to see it. And Burnley is a tough team. I think we've been able to some degree, been able to redeem ourselves from the last season when we played them. So, they haven't had they haven't thought that they were going to win any of the matches we played this season as much as they did last season when they did have better results against us. But yeah, this will be a nice result if it stays like it does, and Burnley's at home, so they're going to they're going to have everybody in the box, and
you can see it now, 13 men behind the ball. Yes. So what was I going to say after that? Man United are losing 1-0 away at Atletico Madrid. I can't. Although Atletico are my team in Spain, I don't really care about Spanish football. It's a boring league. After just I just don't really enjoy it. I prefer the Italian league, the German league, and so it looks like. If they lose, I hope Man United do eventually go through, because then that's just more fixture congestion for those. I want Liverpool, Man City, I want Chelsea, I want all of these teams to go all the way to the finals. And then by the time we play them, they're sending out their kids, which would be brilliant. Right then, we have done 1 hour, 29 minutes and 54 seconds, Gary. That's almost the exact hour and a half I said we would do. So
Nice.
Tell the wonderful people that are listening at home on the bus and doing the gardening and clearing spiders out of the shed, because spring is on its way, people. That's if you still have a shed after the 500-mile-an-hour winds that we had. Where can people find you? I follow you on Twitter, so that means you're good.
So don't waste the tweet on Twitter is where you can find me. I do have my own channel, DWTT. If you search via DWTT Arsenal, I should pop up first. I have my own show on Mondays, so it's late for most of the UK viewers, 12:30 a.m. But for me in the States, it's 7:30 p.m. So it's pretty nice. Otherwise, you'll find me on Arsenal Fan Circle a couple of times a week, and every so often on Mr. Arsenal podcast as well. So, and then everywhere else that is Arsenal podcast, I will jump on like I have today. Thank you for having me, Danny. It's been fun. Enjoyed it.
It's good to let you speak, because I could see from that one time you had a lot to say in a very calm and collected manner, and you were going, I want to say, and you weren't rude enough to go, shut up and let me talk, you fuckers. So I wanted to get you back on again sometime.
Appreciate
soon
it. I definitely enjoyed it. Would love to come back. Yeah,
because all of my lot, I think they've given up podcasting, apart from Carl, Josh, Femi, and Nick. Apart from that, the rest of them, and maybe James, I'll add him in there as well. The rest of them dead to me. Yes, they didn't even ask if there was a podcast tonight.
Oh boy,
I've only been doing it for 9.5 years, 7:30 every Wednesday. Oh no, not going to ask. Dead to me, a lot of them.
Yeah. Right, thank you everybody in the chats for joining us. I definitely wanted to say thank you. Yeah, hopefully you're looking into the future, because if they scored again, that would be really nice.
Hopefully Stanley's right. We are back tomorrow. I will be back at 7. Is it 7:45 kickoff? I'm not sure. Be about an hour and a quarter before kickoff. Then that gives me enough time to edit the preview show, get it up on YouTube, iTunes, and all those other wonderful places. So that I don't know who's on with me with that. The post game show, it's a certain Stanley Victor, not Collymore, because they are both called Stan and they both look the same. And so Stan's going to be on the post-game show. I might get one other person on. That means Stan don't need another person for the post-game show. So, expect me to, that will be 5 minutes after the final whistle. We'll have a chit-chat about my thoughts on the game. I think we're going to, you'll hear my thoughts tomorrow in the preview, but I think we should win it. It would be good. And I'm going to go and watch the Spurs game. And come on, you Burnley, you beautiful clarets. I hope you stay up. Hey. And thank you to Sophie over at the Highbury Squad with super Big Kev Campbell. Go over there, people, and have a listen to their podcast, because she's always doing new stuff. And much like me, she does everything herself. I doubt very much Kev has much of a hand in the editing and the uploading and the running the website and all of that lot, because he's a sports media star, because every time he's on the telly, we all love him. So thank you very much again, people, and I'll see you tomorrow. Up the Arsenal.